Hello, YouTube! I am Pinstar, and this is Blueprints Strategy and Tactics. So today we're diving into the world of Blueprints. This new game that just came out recently has been dominating my attention. It is a mystery roguelike. Now, that's an odd genre mix, I will admit, but there is strategy to be had here. Now, let me be clear that since this is a mystery game with some fixed solutions, I know a lot of you out there are wary of spoilers. These quick tips are going to cover, at worst, what I would call mechanical spoilers. Just talking about the overall strategy of drafting rooms and moving throughout the house, but I will not be doling out any solutions to specific puzzles, nor will I be spoiling any lore beats or other storyline items. That is still yours for the taking, unspoiled. This is just helping you get there a little bit more efficiently. For those of you not familiar with this game, basically you are due to inherit this mansion, but you need to find the location of the 46th room in a 45-room mansion. By the way, this mansion resets its order. All the order of all the rooms gets randomly reset, and you have to draft them anew each day. Also, your inventory of resources gets reset each day. So let me take you through a sample day here. We're pretty early on in this playthrough, so let's dive in. You always start in the entrance hall. Your goal is the antechamber. Don't expect to make it there in your first day, but these tips will help get you there sooner. Tip number 1, shallower you are in the mansion. The game refers to these as ranks. This is rank 1, this row is rank 2, rank 3, etc. The shallower you are, the less likely it is that a room will be locked or somehow require some sort of resource to progress. As such, even though your goal is all the way at the other end, you want to spend as much time down here and flesh out this part of the manor before you press northward. As such, you want to start out the sides of the entrance hall rather than up. Tip number 2, one of the resources that a room can demand is gems. Now, gems are not the hardest to come across, but it is very risky to draft when you do not have any gems, because if you have any options that require gems, they are essentially off the table. So prioritize as much as early as possible, get yourself some gems. The den is an awesome first room here because not only does it give us 2 extra doors, it gives us that gem. Also, one other tip, make it a habit to always hit tab to bring up the map. That way you can see what your room actually looks like in relation to the rest of your rooms. So you can determine, is a particular doorway going to be blocked? Are you sealing yourself off, or, is the path safe? In this case, since the one side of the den that doesn't have a door has its back to the wall that you can't progress down anyway, that we get the most value out of the den. When possible, now this is a case where when you have a lot of open doors, when I say open doors, I mean doors that you can progress through to give you new rooms, that's when it is a little bit safer to take dead-end rooms. Dead-end rooms are ones that only have one entrance here. So while the Nook would be a perfectly serviceable pick here, I think I'm going to take the mailroom. It's got slightly more valuable things in it, and I still have 3 open doors even after placing this, to which I can proceed. Try to keep your number of open doors at least 2 before you start considering dead ends. Another tip is that I'd say for the first 3 ranks, follow a singular path, but once you reach the 3rd rank, go back and flesh out the rest of the bottom path before you proceed to rank 4. Rank 4 is generally where you start finding more and more locked doors. And another tip is you don't necessarily have to enter a room the minute that you open it. We've entered and revealed a chapel, but entering it will cost us a coin. Rather than proceed through to the chapel and lose a coin, we don't know, maybe that coin will be important. So I'm going to just keep it right there, backtrack, and start fleshing out the rest of the manor on this side. We have this room for if we need it, and it's always good to know, especially if we get hard stuck over here. But for the time being, we keep our options open. A little bit of backtracking isn't the worst thing in the world. While every room you pass through does cost you some steps, and your day is over if you run out of steps, there are always plenty of ways to refill your steps and give yourself more steps. So this is a perfect example. One other tip: try not to make rooms that would make a doorway into a space that you already have a doorway. For example, this hallway has a side door that goes into the same spot where we have an open door into the entrance hall. Now, that by itself doesn't cause any problems, but the reason why that is bad is because you are essentially giving up 2 open doorways for one room, because you already have 2 open doors that are poking their way over there. Whereas it would be more beneficial for us to continue heading right. So we want to use the bedroom instead, and we'll rely on the one open doorway from the entrance hall to shoot us northwards through the middle there. The corridor, by the way, too early to really use the corridor unless we have to, because again, you generally don't start seeing locked things until the 4th rank, where the corridor's ability is actually useful. Security is an interesting room, and a potentially important one when it comes to navigating the manor. There's a couple of different settings that you can do on the security terminal, and specifically the keycard system. At the beginning of a run, if you find security early and you have not found any other key rooms that interact with it, the ideal settings are security level low to minimize the spawning of security keycard doors. This is assuming you do not have the security keycard item on you. Because you have to have a keycard to use them at this current state, you want as few of them as possible. But you also want to make sure you change the offline mode to unlocked. If you ever find the breaker box, you can shut power to the security doors, and then the offline mode will let you pass through them freely. Well, speak of the devil, here's our breaker box. Let's take that. When you have the breaker box, switch the keycard entry system to off. That powers off any security doors, electronic security doors. Now your strategy changes. Once you've turned off that, we now have a way to freely pass through any security door without needing a key. At which point we want to go back to the terminal and we want security level high. Because now we want as many doors as possible to have security key cards, which will now just be automatically passable to us without it being, because when a door has a security code lock, it does not have a manual physical lock that would require a key. Another tip talking about getting rooms early: if you see it early, get the laboratory as early as possible. The laboratory's terminal has the ability to run experiments. These are basically setting up some randomly determined conditions that, if you meet them, give you some sort of reward. The conditions and their rewards are random every time you run an experiment, but they can yield a lot of really good resources. Even though they won't necessarily solve you any mysteries, they can get you more goodies. Another tip is that just because a room doesn't advertise a resource in its thing, like the guest bedroom here does give us 10 steps, but it makes no mention of gems or anything, and yet here we are, a randomly spawned gem. Will it always be there? No, that's random. But don't forget to parse through part of a room that you're just, maybe passing through, just in case you get some randomly spawned resource. Every little bit counts. Not all rooms can be winners. Some rooms are kind of crappy or useless or just kind of boring. The spare room has nothing exciting in it, but sometimes it's worth it to draft it. Not because you want whatever's in it, because there's nothing in it, but it gets it out of the pool. It will stop being offered to you once it's in your manor, and therefore more useful, more exciting, more interesting things can take its place. Also, bear in mind that because each room can only appear once, and with one exception, you have an idea of exactly how many rooms with 2 entrances, 1 entrance, 3 entrances, 4 entrances might be left in the pool. While you can't guarantee your offerings, knowing that you've exhausted a larger number of one might tilt the odds in one way or the other, so plan accordingly. Leaving yourself with only one open door can be risky. Under normal circumstances, if we drafted nothing but dead ends, which is always a possibility, our run is over here. However, it's slightly less risky to do this if you have at least 1 reroll dice. If you have that, the odds of getting triple dead ends twice in a row is much, much less, so you can gamble a little bit. So plan accordingly. And when possible, try to get yourself to a state where you have 2 open doors instead. The one time you should disregard one time, if you find yourself with 2 open doors pointing to a room, there is one way you can use this to salvage the situation. If one of the doors that you try is locked, I mean, we have a lockpick kit, we could try to open it for free, but otherwise, if it is locked, you can always try from the other door, because this other door is a separate chance for it to be locked or unlocked. So you might be able to get into this space without using a key by using the fact that you have 2 open doors here. See? We got into this door without having to use a key. Now, we're going to have to block off this door, but that's okay. When you're getting low on steps, make sure you count your way back to sources of step gain. Dining rooms, especially if you've gotten high enough to unlock the main course, the kitchen, all sorts of things should be kept track of, and make sure you have enough energy to make your way back there so that you can recharge and continue onwards. Follow these tips and you can get yourself quite a bit of exploration done. Look at this. We're on day, 5? And look how much of the manor we got. Now, did we get a little bit lucky? Yes. But did we get supremely lucky? No, not necessarily. So follow these tips and guidelines and you too can have more commonly helpful explorations through the manor. So if you guys like this episode and you want to see more like it, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and leave me a comment, good, bad, or indifferent. Your feedback's always welcome. So until next time, this has been Pinstar signing out. Oh, one last tip. Before you call it a day, if you have a coat check and you retrieved an item from it, don't forget to make your way back there and deposit an item into the same coat check, and it'll be ready for your next run. Until next time, Pinstar out. See ya!